Thank you for staying with us for the news. Let's get into our first story now. The Union of Vehicle and Assets Dealers of Ghana is threatening to use arms to scare off security operatives who have in recent days impounded vehicles at their shops and garages across the country. Members of the union are blaming IOCO and other security operatives for using coercive and brutish strategies to seize their property and allegedly auction same vehicles to their cronies. At a charged news conference, chairman of the union called on government to intervene to prevent chaos and violence at these garages.
According to the union, about 300 duly acquired vehicles of their members have so far been impounded in a Rambo style and taken to unknown locations. The union says there is no justification for the IOCO-led exercise, which is said to be supported by Interpol. They question why the state looked on for the vehicles in question to be cleared at the port, only to track and confiscate same.
Even if it has been alleged that the car has been stolen, to us, we know we are not selling such cars. The car that we are selling were completely bought from wherever that we bought them. We ship them from wherever, from America and Canada. We clear them here in Ghana. We have all the necessary documents to support whatever that we are saying. So we are not in any way afraid that to come out to defend these issues is not something that we are scared of. But we are only sending a warning to government that, or we are only sending a signal to government that what they are doing does not help us as business people. Because when somebody like maybe a buyer is coming to buy a car from you, and this news is circulating in the system, automatically the person will be scared of. This is what we are talking about.
The union describes the raid as a deliberate ploy by government to intimidate and get them out of business.
The government is intimidating us because he said we should go and buy new cars. How many people can you buy a new car? Can you afford it? What kind of behavior is that? We don't want any situation. That is the reason why we are sending a signal to the government. He should not try it, because all the security agencies are aware about what is going on. We call DVLA, they are aware. So we don't want any situation. We are giving the government 3 days. If you didn't hear from the government, you will hear from us.
I didn't think operation the other police do what now the ambassador castle. Yes, Rano. Yam person boys ni bewura baby a na dwuma ye de bedi omo yes ene segrama ikumase for ni amata kwade fire away because bankers e wo kroma no enya de aban ne man kwan se omo ma yesika omo ntiase se waji om sika na abeka chom se yokwa ba be faka no.
They've vowed to use forceful means to take back their vehicles from whoever will eventually buy same through auction.
First of all, on what basis can government even decide to sell the cars that he has taken from us? Government cannot take the vehicle from us and go on an auction to the general public. But like you are saying, we are continuing the pressure to get our cars and vehicles back before we get to where we are talking about. We are not going to wait until that time to come.
I just want to come in. If that thing happens, we will resist. We will take our cars from whoever is using the car. That thing is supposed to be out. And we are sending a signal to the government. Now they are taking the cars from DVLA and they are taking the cars from ports and everything. If the government wants that thing to be happening, we are all going to resist arrest, and you see what will happen in the country. We don't want that. What kind of behavior is that?
A 2-day ultimatum has been given by the union for government to return the about 300 vehicles to prevent any escalation.
Well, the Trades Union Congress has issued a 1-week ultimatum to government to respond to their demands for an exemption of pension funds from the government's announced debt exchange program. According to organized labor, failure by government to heed to their demand and stay off the pension funds of workers will incur the wrath of the union. My colleague Samuel Kojo-Brace was at a news conference where the TUC officially stated their objection to the program and now reports.
Secretary General of the TUC, Dr. Anthony Yaba, noted the decision to touch pension funds of workers is unconscionable and they will resist it.
Already pension is low. And we would have thought that our government would do everything to protect even the small pension that we have. Instead, they are introducing programs inspired by IMF to cut further pension income. And as we used to say, we no go sit down. Yes. Therefore, the Trade Union Congress and all its affiliate national unions have decided that pension funds of our members will not be part of the domestic debt exchange program.
He added it is insensitive for government to announce increment in taxes, including income tax, in such a difficult time.
In the budget, government announced various IMF-inspired measures to deal with the economic and financial crisis, some of which are clearly inappropriate and wrong. And they include the following. Number one, taxation. Government has announced increases in taxes starting from January 2023 in this current economic situation. And you know what they touched? VAT, which is indirect consumption tax, affects everybody equally, whether you are poor or you are rich. And the value added tax rate is projected to go up by 2.5 percentage points. But if you work percentage points, it's getting to about 14% increase. They have also increased the maximum personal income tax margin from 30% to 35%. Currently, if you earn $4,000 a month, you're already in the high bracket. And they are moving you to 35%, which leaves less money in your pocket for you and your family in these current economic conditions.
The TUC wants the government to look within itself in solving the current economic challenges, and here's how.
We vehemently oppose these tax measures and challenge government to use other measures to mobilize revenue, including one, plugging the leakages in the tax system. And we know it, that there is so much going out into the drain. We also advise that they should rather improve the tax efficiency, because it costs too much to collect the taxes that we are collecting. And then we also advise that government should deal decisively with the serious infractions in the Auditor General's report. We know this. We know the figures. Every year, Auditor General comes with figures and amounts that did not go as they should.
Dr. Ba says workers must brace themselves for an industrial action to protect their pension funds.
We will hold another press conference in this very room at 12 p.m. on the 19th of December 2022 to update our members and all of you on the General Council decisions and the actions that will be taken in the event that government refuses to accede to our demand to exempt pension funds from the debt exchange program.
Samuel Kojo-Brace's report for Joy News.
Now, the minority in Parliament says government must immediately save the school feeding program, which it says is failing. Minority spokesperson for Food and Agriculture, Eric Opoku, accuses government of starving the program of funds and delaying in releasing them, even those little amounts for caterers. Parliamentary Affairs correspondent Kweku Asante has the rest of the story.
Earlier this year, school feeding caterers embarked on an industrial action to force government to increase the school feeding grant. Many months down the line, not only has this demand not been met, caterers are being owed several months. The NDC in Parliament is worried.
Funds for the program has been irregular. As we speak, we're in the third term. And my checks from the grounds indicate that the school feeding secretariat has only paid for the first term. So second term, even though some caterers offered their services, they have not been paid. And they are in the third term. And so because of lack of funds, what is happening is that in most of the schools, if the caterer does not have the capacity to fund the program, then they will not provide the food at all.
The minority are also lamenting the poor quality of the food served school children in beneficiary schools.
Who is monitoring the program? How many people have we recruited as monitors, and how do they monitor? So because of inefficiency in the monitoring process, again, irregular funding, the program is almost collapsing. The quality as well as the quantity of the food that is supplied has been compromised. Now, if you visit any of the schools and you look at the quality of food that is served to our children, you'll be more than worried. If you should look at the quantity, you'll be angry because resources are not being provided.
The 2023 budget announced an increase in the school feeding grant. Eric Opoku says government may not even be able to pay for this.
Even the 70, are we able to pay? We are unable to pay. Now we are talking about increasing it to 120 or so. What is the guarantee that government can pay? When you look at the budget and you look at the expenditure as against revenue, government projects a revenue of 145 billion against expenditure of 227 billion. And government says that I'm going to borrow around 83 billion this year. Now we don't have access to the international capital market. So we are not going to get anything from, the international market. Now when we come locally, because of the introduction of the haircut in this budget, can government get money domestically? Who is going to lend to government?
Currently, school feeding caterers get 97 pesos to feed your children who benefit from this program. Government has announced its intention to raise this amount, and the specific details will be fleshed out as the committees of parliament consider the various estimates and allocations that have been made to the various MDAs. But the minority are already raising concerns that not only will government be unable to fund this because of the huge deficit in the 2023 budget, but already so many caterers are owed so many months in arrears and want government to take some urgent measures. The minority say they want to rally Ghanaians to pile the pressure on government to pay particular attention to the school feeding program before it finally collapses. For Joy News, Kweku Asante, Parliament House, Accra.
Now, General Secretary candidate Fifi Fiave Kwete of the NDC says he is the perfect replacement for General Secretary Johnson Esiedun Ketia. He is set to face off a competition from the party's Director of Elections and Deputy General Secretary. Joseph Akakpo of our political desk now reports.
When today you are hearing Nana Akufo-Addo and the MPP going all over the country shouting free SHS, free SHS, free SHS. That is what you call all lie be lie.
Fifi Kwete was a popular voice on the NDC's Setting the Record Straight platform, but his political journey started long before that. He is one who has journeyed through the ranks of the party. He started out as chairman for the National Democratic Congress branch on the University of Ghana Legon campus. In 2005, he was elected as the party's propaganda secretary. This was the year Johnson Esiedun Ketia became NDC General Secretary. The propaganda secretary position was later rebranded to National Communications Officer, but Fifi Kwete remained the firebrand he has always been.
Finally, I want to say that the courts of the people of Ghana, under the influence of the only Supreme Court in heaven, will speak on December 7th. I repeat, the courts of the people of Ghana, under the influence of the only Supreme Court of heaven, will speak on December 7th. The harder the battle, the sweeter the victory shall be. So may God help us to resist oppressors' rule with all our will and our might forevermore.
He served as Deputy Minister for Finance when the party won the 2008 elections. In 2012, he entered Parliament representing Ketu South constituency. The period also saw him serve as a Minister of State at the presidency and later taking charge of the Agriculture and Transport Ministry at some point. He left Parliament after opting not to contest in the 2020 polls.
Yeah, kind of.
After you exited Parliament?
Yeah, I do a bit of that. Something I like to do, sometimes just to go a bit into the background, watch, reflect, and recharge the batteries. And when the moment calls, I step up again.
He's back 17 years after winning his first national elections within the NDC, seeking to replace Johnson Esiedun Ketia, a man who remained at the party all the time Fifi moved in and out of government and parliament.
Yeah, let's say it this way. The reason why I'm stepping for this position is because I believe we need what you call a perfect replacement. I mean, to continue where he left off.
So some say when you do that, you're not being your own man. Is Fifi Kwete being his own man? I mean, a man of his own words. I mean, full of your conviction and going in as a politician, believing that indeed the grassroots of the NDC believe in your capacity, a reason why you want to contest, and not because you've done an assessment, seeing the opportunities there for you. Now that Johnson Asiedu Nketia is receding, then you come into for a cool job, as someone would describe it.
No, I would think that's the wrong way to look at it. So, for instance, if you have an incumbent, like we have in most democracies, so for example, let's say, for example, that Obama was an incumbent. And as long as Obama was doing a good job, there's nobody in the Democratic Party who would want to run against Obama because he was doing a good job. The same thing we have when Rawlings was an incumbent, nobody ran against Rawlings. When Prof. Mills became virtually the incumbent, I mean, it was simply a matter of, as long as he is doing a good job, why challenge him? You know, for some of us, you must appreciate, this is not something that's a personal ambition business. It's about putting yourself in a situation where you can help a group, and for that matter, present yourself to be helping your country. If it's a personal thing, which I'm obsessed about, then you can say, no matter what, I'm going to run for it. But for me, it's a question of making sure that the group does not become, should I call it, diminished by the absence or the departure of one person.
He faces stiff competition from NDC Director of Elections, Elvis Efri-Yankra, and Deputy General Secretary, Dr. Peter Boama Otukono. He, however, believes he stands tall.
Well, I think they are worthy contenders. They've also dedicated their comrades in the party. Elvis in particular and myself have gone, I mean, as far back as possible. We are very good friends as well. But this is a democratic contest, and we believe that ours is to be able to tell the party why, let's say, Fifi Kwete is a better person to be able to take us forward. I think much as all of them have great good qualities, I believe I stand taller. One, because in the first place I'm actually much more ancient in the party than all of them. I've been right here.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So you've been around for a long time. So you are the big brother, if you want to describe yourself as such.
I've been right here from 1992.
And they acknowledge that.
And of course, I mean, there's no dispute about that. In 1992, I was actually the chairman of NDC on the University of Ghana campus at the time when on the uni campus of University of Ghana, you dare not show that you are an NDC person. I actually was absolutely known as virtually a lion for the party.
The biggest goal for all members of NDC will be to recapture political power in 2024. Mr. Kwete has no doubt in his mind that he can make that possible.
Again, in 2024, election is largely going to be around the economy. And of course, you need somebody who actually is a champion on the subject, who can speak to the matter. And among the contenders, I mean, clearly they do know.
But rigging is certainly not on the table.
Rigging, you can never rule it out.
You have that suspicion.
Once you are dealing with NPP,
only time will tell who will emerge victorious over the weekend.
Now, one major challenge facing students and authorities of the WAS Senior High School is the lack of an auditorium to take care of the over 1,900 students of the school. The school assembly hall, constructed over 40 years ago for 200 students, has now been outnumbered by the maze of students at the school. Concerned about the plight of the students, Speaker of Parliament Alban Sumana Kingsford Bagman himself, an old student of the school, has agreed to construct a 2,000-seater capacity auditorium for the school, whose contract has already been awarded. Headmaster of the school, Adam Idrisu Thirdman, disclosed at the launch of the 50th anniversary celebration of the school. Joy News Upper West Regional Correspondent Rafiq Salam reports.
WAS Senior High School has long cried for an auditorium, as the current assembly hall can only take 700 students out of a current population of 1,961 students, making it difficult for them to use for their activities. The assembly hall was originally constructed to accommodate 200 students. After several years of appeals and persuasions to the government, benevolent organizations and individuals, they seem to be light at the end of the tunnel. Speaker of Ghana's Parliament, Alban Sumana Kingsford Bagman, himself an old student of the school, through his social investment fund, has awarded a contract for the construction of 2,000-seater capacity auditorium. Headmaster of WAS Senior High School, Adams Idrisu, third man, was announcing the start of the project at the launch of the 50th anniversary celebration of the school, laced with some challenges they are grappling with.
Award of contract for the construction of a 2,000-seater capacity auditorium facilitated by the Right Honorable Speaker of Parliament through his SIF, that is Social Investment Fund. The site for this project has already been set, and hopefully before the end of this year, construction will commence fully.
Great Secondary School was established by the government of Ghana as a co-educational second cycle institution in 1969-1970 academic year, with 70 students and 5 teachers, headed by the first headmaster, Mr. Gabriel Turi. The school has not changed much 50 years after its existence. It is still the old structures with overpopulated students.
Apart from one dormitory, which has even not been fully handed over to us, all the other dormitories are in a very deplorable state. It's a matter of concern. We also suffer intermittent water shortages. We have 2 mechanized boreholes on campus.
And on that note, we wrap the news. We're grateful for your time. Stay with us for the news review.